If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back here to Kickin It With Knuble, episode 14, Mike. We're back in the new year, first episode of 2025. 2024 was fun. We had some, obviously we, started this up in September, went through like the whole summer, kind of building everything up and all that. A lot of fun moments, but now we got the new year. Happy New Year. And how's everything going?
Good. Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, I guess we made it to 2025 and we're still around, so we still doing it. Give it a shot here. Right. Yeah. You graduated college. Might have to start looking for a real job at some point
here. Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely, still going to be looking and a lot of different things. And yeah, did graduate school, so a lot off my plate now, but still kicking it, doing this and stuff. And as of now, Mike, Flyers end 2024 with a win in San Jose, and they end the year, the calendar year going into the rest of the season, second half of the year, pretty much 500. I feel like 2024 was a pretty solid year for the Flyers as an organization. Like, there definitely were some good moments. I had a tweet out the other day, Mike, that was basically, what essentially was like the best moment of 24 for this team. Like, there were some really high moments towards like the first, second half of last year going into January and everything. They had a really, good 5-game winning streak. You get Michkov in the summer. Briere takes Luchenko. Ivan Fedotov comes over. Like, those were a couple, like the 4, like, best things that I kind of put in there. But for you, where do you kind of view like the Flyers in terms of like just like the year? And I guess out of those 4 things, I feel like it's a pretty fairly simple, easy answer, but what's probably the best thing out of that group for you?
Well, no, it's obviously you like to be improving a little bit more record wise, but I mean, I think the team is growing, and I think that's positive too. And it's towards just kind of being on guys and holding everybody accountable and moving them in and out of the lineup, changing lines a lot. I know it's hard for fans to watch, and you get you feel like a line is gaining some momentum, and then he might be viewing it differently in the office and watching video, and then he breaks it up and goes with another group. And so fans who are watching the game can't even, they're like settling in for the game and they're wondering who's up, who's playing together again today. But it's just finding these combinations and through, a little bit of tough love with certain guys and giving guys another chance and moving players to different, whether moving a center to wing to center, somebody to their offside, constantly looking around. So, I think overall it's probably a little bit of the growth and, the team, the younger players kind of like buying in and figuring out how to play every day. And, 500 at Christmas for this group is, it's pretty good. Yeah, obviously I'd like to be a little bit more, but certainly could be a lot worse. And the funny thing, you're 500 and you feel like, you can put your thumb on a lot of games where something just slipped away, where we kind of got in our way a little bit, so it's not like you're being outclassed by any means, but in some games, some nights you're just going to come out and you're like, it's not the cards tonight. And then other times it's like, well, that one got away from us. And I think there's a few along the way that they could go back to and kind of be like, well, that was a little bit more of our own fault, where you have a bad second period or you have a good lead in the third, you can't hold it. And so those are certainly frustrating, but those, on the coaching side, they could be teachable too, and you can do something about that.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like there's probably like 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 points like left on the table. And in terms of just like games that kind of, slipped away, went to overtime, maybe bad goal late or something like that. There's a few off the top of my head. they had that home against Vegas was one where they had, I think, a 4-2 lead after 2, lost in a shootout. Like, that's one you probably should close out. There was a road game in Carolina, road game in Boston. Like, there definitely were some moments this year where it's like, all right, they definitely could close out those games. But to be, 17-17-4, and you go into the next part of the year. Now, one of the big concerns is Sam Ersson. He got hurt in last night's game, New Year's Eve against the Sharks. Look, I've really been really like honing in on wanting to talk about this today, because the goalie situation doesn't make any sense to me, Mike. With how the Flyers kind of are doing this, and I'm not trying to be ultra negative or anything, but like to have Fedotov, Kolosov, and Ersson on the same roster, you go with 3 goalies. We've seen this before with Tortorella, where like 3 goalies hasn't worked with this team. It happened in early part of the first year of Tortorella. I know it was a different guy, Felix Sandstrom. He didn't really play a ton. He's mostly, he's mostly, fringe backup AHL starter essentially, but he didn't really play, and he kind of just wasn't really given a fair chance. And like, we've seen that. And I'm not trying to be like critical of Torts. It's just, it's frustrating at the fact that you signed this guy in Fedotov. He hasn't played since December 5th. You have Ersson now who gets hurt. It's not like he got pulled or anything like that. So obviously, like, when Kolosov comes out at the start of the third period and the Flyers are up 3-0, you're like, what the hell is going on? So he's hurt. And now, I mean, again, it could be, a couple days. He could be day to day. He could be week to week or whatever. But again, you have Fedotov who hasn't played in about a month. Like, if Kolosov plays the next game, which is tomorrow night against Vegas, it's probably, most likely going to happen. If he does play that full game and he doesn't get hurt or doesn't have to come in, the next game is the 5th. So he literally would not play for a month if that's the case. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And then a good point that we talked about a while ago off camera was, you mentioned to me, like, with goalies and stuff, like how, what percentage you want of your cap to be in your goalies. Right now, I think it's like 6.4, something like that, like 6.48 or something. It's like a real crazy number, but about 6.5% is tied in the cap of your goalies. I know this is really long winded, but I don't know. It's just very. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me to have all that. You sign Fedotov to this contract and then you just don't play him.
Yeah. Well, I think Torts, he alluded to it a couple months ago, right? He said, that his goalie situation scares him. I feel bad for Ersson because was he injured right before the holidays too, or somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas? Was he injured as well?
Right now, This is the third time all year he's gotten hurt.
Time, yeah, and that's super frustrating, because I think Torts wants to really rely on him for the bulk of the games, and he gets some traction, then you're injured, and then it's this process to come back and get good starts in and build some momentum, and so that's certainly frustrating. I think keeping 3 is obviously very hard to get everybody their touches, their reps. You can recreate some stuff in practice, but human nature is somebody's left out, somebody's not dressing, and and it's 3 goalies is a really tough way to do things. Now, they feel that maybe that's what we're going to have to do for now, and that's the way it is. And Ersson, like you said, a third time kind of going on, not that he's on the IR, but third time getting dinged up. It's like, well, we can't go down to 2, and if you feel like it's going to happen, you're out on the West Coast for 7 to 10 days, and you got to almost have 3 with you. It's too hard to get somebody out there and quick, and so I don't know. It's it's a lot of that uneasiness is probably promoting this situation as it is anyway. The uneasy goal, and so, and that was kind of foreshadowed a little bit, I think, in October and early part of November, and by Torts, and so you're just trying to get somebody to get some momentum going and then try and ride them a little bit. But it just seems like when one gets going and you get tweaked or something happens, and but I feel bad for the Ersson kid because like I said, I think he would be handling the bulk of the load, and it's just running some bad luck injury wise, and. But then you brought up, the part about the cap percentage. And I'd be curious what, the averages around the league, what people have and, in their goalies, and,
right.
Kind of is what it is this year. And hopefully these guys can separate themselves, and then you go into the next season figuring out who belongs where and make your harder decisions. But give them a chance to play now. But frustrating. No goalie wants to not play for a month either in the NHL, and
Yeah.
it's, and it's a big ask on anybody, whether you're the number two to a number one or number three to a number two, one and two. It's hard to be that way, hard to not play for a month for sure.
Right. Yeah. And especially too for a guy that, again, like you just signed him. Like you just signed him to this contract 2 years. He makes the most money out of all the goalies right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of them things. I don't know. It's hard for me to understand it. And again, like, it's, I don't know. It's just weird. Um, I guess kind of moving on, you got Michkov. He struggled for a bit, won 7 games without a point. I don't know. I mean, for you, Mike, did you ever feel like like there was just like a rut that you were in and you just like could not get out of? And then like, what was it that just got you out of it? Was it just like a goal? Like like I feel like they always say like that, where it's like you always hear it where it's like if you just get one and you score an empty net or something, you feel so much better. Like, how true is that?
Well, I think as a young player, it's hard because you talk to I talk to young players on the way up in the American League and that. And it's like, well, they feel pressure to get this end result. Well, you don't get the end result without doing the other things first, which means being on your toes and skating and pressuring pucks and creating havoc, below the goal line, winning your battles, making some plays, getting to the net with authority, like you want to be there, and then when you have a chance, when the puck is on your stick, are you making a concrete play and with ownership, or are you just kind of hoping, that, I'm going to shoot this across, I'm going to pass this across the ice, hopefully it ends up on somebody's stick, or are you determined to make it, to somebody's, right on somebody's tape, with ownership. So, those are hard for young players. It's funny when Michkov, if he's not struggling, he loves shooting the puck from unorthodox spots, right? And he's not scared. The goalie scored against LA the other nights from behind the goal line. Great scorers play. Like it's behind the goal line. The goalie's floundering around a little bit. You hit, you whip it out in front. I always tried that. Seemed to miss the goalie all the time, and it would go out of the zone or whatever. But like he banked it off his foot and goes in, and that's kind of how you get yourself going. But he's and a lot of players if they're struggling, they will go, like, they'll tighten up and they will like look for maybe the perfect play or something like that. Now you're end up passing on shots where he goes the other way, where he's trying anywhere. If he's below the faceoff anywhere, whether it's on the boards below the goal line, he's trying to jam it to the net and bank it off the goalie's ear. I mean, he's trying everything, and sometimes, those will work for you, and then sometimes they don't, and they bank off the goalie and go out, and you say, I like a little more ozone patience out of him, like, let's not just be wasting pucks all over the place. But that seems to be his MO, and, going around the net, trying to scoop it up and trying to wrap it. I mean, he's constantly, pushing pucks to the net from bad angles. So that is a way to get out of it. But, I always found out you got to kind of go back to your basics, make sure you're skating, physical, win your battles, and then when the puck goes out high and it's going D to D, like work like hell to get to the front of the net and try and tip one in. And when the puck is there, laying there, like being a dog on it, you're like, I'm going to get smacked in the face, but I got to go get this puck. I got to get myself going, and sometimes you do that and get smacked around a little bit. It's a way to get yourself going. Now that's one style. And then, like you say, other ones, Michkov saying, well, I'll just go volume. I'll go volume from bad angles and just keep trying, and, every time. Mm-hmm. So, it's sometimes hard to play guys like that too, because you're like, well, let's have a little patience here. Like, hang on to a second. Let me come support you and let's get something going. But, if you figure he's going to, if you figure he's the type, he's like, all right, he's forcing things to the net all over the, even from tough angles, then maybe I should be heading toward the net. They hit the post and pop out in the slot. And, a lot of times, if you play with players doing that, you're there late and you feel like, I should have been on my way there. But, right. It seems to be the MO of how he's getting off the schneid a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point that you mentioned, like kind of hard to play with guys like that too, because that's been talked about a little bit, like how there could be some other plays there, like I think more so when he's tried the Michigan. I personally have no problems with the Michigan. I think the Michigan's a good play. I know some people are against it and whatnot, and don't think it should be in hockey and all that, but or it's just a kind of like more like I guess more of a hot dog kind of play than it is really anything. But like I feel like it's kind of just like a wraparound and
Mm-hmm.
just in the air. I mean, it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Um,
You could almost
I've
play it a
never
drinking.
had,
You can almost play a drinking game with him doing it. It's like every
yeah,
game. Take a
yeah,
shot if he tries to miss it. Yeah, he might get a couple each night. But he
right,
tries. So
yeah. I mean,
one of these
he's
times,
going to
he's
score it
gonna
eventually.
one of these times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
mean, again, he's going to score it eventually. I think
Mhm.
at some point this season he's going to score it. And it's one of the things where it's like, you know, there probably could be better plays, but I just feel like with him, it's one of them things where it kind of just I don't have a problem with it because he's trying to make plays. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's not like, and especially for a team that struggles to score, like kind of like the Flyers do, and you know, with offense and how the power plays really dip down and all that too. Like it's one of them things where I never had a problem with that because if you're trying to take chances, you're trying to make plays like that. It's stuff like that that I think that it gives you the confidence to score, and I also think it's one of them things that you know it kind of sets you know the tone, I guess, for how the Flyers can kind of play like out of this rebuild a little bit too.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, and he's learning. There's more to life. There's more to a hockey game than below the face-off dots. And the creativity and trying to get pucks in net and figuring out a way to get pucks in net. So yeah, and again, he's learning a little bit. Torts again pulls him back. Has him sitting a little bit on this trip and sat for a whole period. So there's going to be moments like that. And eventually, get to the point where he understands the whole package and kind of gets in line like that again. And those are things not for now. They're for years in his career, so he can be here a long time playing and be a great player for a long time. So. Again, fans kind of have to remember that. Why is he sitting again? We need him out there. Well, there's a bigger picture as well, a little bit too at times.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. Um, Mike, I know it's very early in the season and we still have, the second half of the year and all that here, but um, if you're a betting man, who are you putting money on for the Calder, Michkov or Celebrini?
Yeah, I think we're kind of touching on touching on Mate and the way he plays a little bit, and Celebrini getting a little better rap, probably nationally as being a more of a 200-foot guy, like an all up and down guy, and once certainly, a lot more, a lot exciting, and the kids will gravitate to some of the cool stuff that he's trying to do and all that stuff. But Celebrini's certainly coming on. He seems to be, being relied on by San Jose to play key minutes and key situations, and so that might be a separating point for people who vote. Hey, I just think he's been better overall player, and Michkov certainly has his moments, but again, there's
Right.
moments of on the bench for a while and stuff like that too. And then you can't, Lane Hudson certainly in Montreal's another guy that's probably going to get in the
Yeah,
mix here.
Hudson too.
Those three have kind of separated themselves, and probably Celebrini being the number one pick and all that. It's probably the long run over a long part of the season is going to be might be the difference maker. Just his 200-foot ability right now and his growth, as a player, and where he started in October, November, and how he's come on and on a not very good team. San Jose is not a great team this year, and
Right.
so he gets a chance to go, with them. So it's, I would have to bet in the long run when the dust settles, it'd probably be Celebrini a little bit, and could Michkov be a second vote, second place, or Hudson? It all depends. Get a
Mhm.
Canadian-based player in there, Lane Hudson. Even though he's American, but
Right.
playing in the Canadian market. Those some of the reporters can really start to skew that number a little bit. When they do their voting or whatever.
Right. No, it's definitely fair. Obviously, Mike, I'm biased. I think Michkov's going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I honestly, I think the reason I want it so bad is just because it's never happened before. The Flyers have never had a guy win the Calder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I think Lindros was close. I don't
Well, yeah,
remember.
that was the first name that popped in my head would be Eric. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely. And then before that, I don't think they've really had anyone like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think there was anyone that was like that close or anything like that. The only other guy I
Maybe like
think that could have been was
maybe or something
Forsberg, but they
like
traded him.
that. Who?
Say it again. I was gonna
I
say
thought maybe.
Peter Forsberg.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know, but he wouldn't have been there. But
But
it
they
would have been
traded
like
him.
maybe
Yeah.
Britain Moore or something would maybe been close.
Yeah. More, yeah.
No, he wasn't that. I don't think he was appreciated as much as he became appreciated as a player. But
Right.
he kind of people fell in love with him a little bit later. But
Right.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. No. And again, it's just kind of one of them things. Um, just kind of moving on. You got Noah Cates has played really well. He was one guy that I have here written down. He's looked great. Like he's played good. Like 200-foot game. I think that line with Brink and Forrester. I think the way that they win pucks is what's really helped them. They don't have like a ton of size. Forrester's a little bit bigger, and in terms of length, but Brink is small, but he's able to win his battles, and Cates obviously he kind of made it, and really his NHL career has been off of that. Honestly, playing 200-foot game, winning pucks, and all that. They've looked good. I mean, Cates has been scoring. I think he has five goals in the last 7. I think he's looked good. I mean, again, like the way that they play, I think the way that Brink and his passing ability, I think you've been able to see that. I think it's one of them things with Brink and really just that whole line. Like they're all kind of proving that they can, you know, make in the NHL and make a name for themselves. And um, it like this year again, it kind of all ties back into like them kind of waiting on this year and not making any trades or anything. I know we talked a lot about that last week and or last episode and just kind of where where they were at as an organization. But when you look at it now, I mean, I think it's one of the things where it's kind of good to be a little patient sometimes. You can see more out of guys and things like that. And I think these 3 guys really kind of show the story of that a little bit.
yeah, I mean, Cates especially. I mean, he's really kind of the odd guy out for the first part of the year, and really
Mhm.
had a hard time. And that does, not great things for your confidence. But you get the 3 of them together. Cates, Brink, and Forster, and then they. It's one thing when you're in the dressing room and you know who your line is. You're looking at them and you're like, "Wow, like I feel great about our chances tonight," And sometimes you're in there
Yeah.
and you're like, "Wow, I'm just struggling. I'm trying to keep my head above water here." That's a bad way to keep. I'm trying to stay in the lineup, or I'm just trying to like survive here, and that's a bad way to approach a game. But when you're sitting in the room and you're looking at the guys you're going to play with, and you can feel their energy, you feel like they're on the same page with you, they're excited to play with you. You feel like you're building some momentum. You can feel like the coach is trusting you, and other lines are switching around. You come into practice, other lines are moving around, but you guys stay the same. And so I think Torts believes in like some like lines have endpoints, you know what I mean, like in their usefulness, and
Yeah.
he's shown a lot. Like he'll ride guys for a while, and then when he decides kind of like that train's come to the station, he's going to switch it up, and so
Right.
obviously he's not feeling that yet, and that can do wonder collectively. The collectively your confidence as a threesome out there can do a lot, right? And it's
Yeah.
easier to get around the ice. And I feel like I'm skating great tonight. I'm on pucks, and I feel more confident when I get it. And I feel stronger in my battles. And if I'm losing a battle, I know my line mate's going to be right there behind me. He can sense it happening. And so they got to love it as a line. Especially a player, if you're kind of looking for traction in your season, you're trying to figure out how I'm going to get in this lineup and who I can play with, who do I play well with, and who do I like playing with. And you get with the guys, and they finally kind of strike that little pay dirt for a while, and you try and run as long as you can. Cause like you said, obviously Torts he kind of feels like when lines are running out of they've run out of their energy, and then he'll go back to the hopper and shake it up. So
Right.
it's good for them. It's awesome. It's great,
Yeah.
and Torts can worry about another 9 forwards instead of these 3 right now, and try and figure out his other
Right.
combinations. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm curious. Yeah, no. I'm curious, like kind of like the way you were saying that. d- when you played with Peter and Simone on the Deuces Wild line, did you always kind of feel confident like that? Like it was like we're just going to score every night. Did you always feel that way?
Yeah, well, you kind of look at it a couple ways. You look at it that way, like, yeah, you love who you're playing with. You're like, oh man, I got a great assignment tonight. This is awesome. And then you were
Right.
kind of a little bit scared too. You're like, I don't want to screw this up. Like, I like playing with these guys. So that little bit of fear really helped me out. I'm like, man, I like playing with these guys. So I got to try my ass. I got to make sure that I'm good, and
Yeah.
that little bit of fear makes, I think, for for to help me. That I just really liked where I was and I wanted to stay there. You knew there was no guarantee. That those two had the higher pedigree. And so they were probably going to stay together. Like if the line's not working, it's probably all eyes are going to me. And all eyes are going to look at me and they're going to change me out. So
Right.
yeah, that was my thoughts in it. But yeah, like you say, it's a great feeling when you're going into a game and you're going to be counted on to play a lot and to play a big role. And, they're feeling confident in you as an individual and your group as well. So it's great for those three. And every player loves to be in those situations.
Right. Okay. All right. So we got World Juniors, Winter Classic, a couple other things. Mike, I posted the other day. I posted your goal from 2011 when you stuffed one home on Fleury at Heinz Field. Let me ask you, what's your favorite moment from that game? Obviously, the goal I'm sure is up there, but anything else standing out from the memory bank?
Yeah, that was kind of a typical goal for me, just kind of hacking and whacking at Marc Andre and stabbing him probably
Yeah.
in the back of the eye with my stick and trying to get at the puck. But yeah, it was interesting. I think we were supposed to have a 1:00 start, there in Pittsburgh, and then it was kind of raining, kind of a little bit like it was yesterday in Chicago, and they pushed it back and kind of didn't.
Yeah.
The rain tightened up yesterday, but it kind of kept that drizzle going. Remember seeing some players, take their shields off, guys like it was like Chris Letang and I don't know about Sid, but who else from Pittsburgh? Maybe Malkin or somebody. They typically wore shields, and then they weren't wearing the shields, and they took them off just for the visibility and the rain, rain droplets on it. And so it was kind of weird to see guys like in that respect. I remember that, but you get to that thing, you feel like it's like a Super Bowl. You almost feel, since we're in bowl season for football, you almost feel like it's a bowl game, but it's not. Like it's a 2 game, right? It has all this extra pageantry. And that's where it's different, and you got to keep it in perspective a little bit. Like it's a great experience, but at the same time, it's not a bowl game. There's no bonuses for winning the game. It's 2 points in the scoreboard, in the score, in the standings. So that's what you got to kind of keep in mind too a little bit. But they're super fun. I mean, they're great to play and a lot of fun. And your friends and your family get to come along, and every team, every organization turns it into a nice family event. It's around the holidays, so everybody has family in. And they turn it into a nice event, and rightfully so. The NHL, it's kind of their premier thing, and I love that they halted the rest of the games. I mean, they didn't want to compete against the bowl game last night, so they run it in the afternoon a little bit. And Chicago's always probably a pretty favorable city weather-wise, and the lure of Wrigley is a great spot. So we're looking forward to it. We get to go there and watch our son Cole play on Friday, play Penn State there, playing for Notre Dame. So it was a good preview for us to kind of see what the venue will look like and, kind of dress appropriately for it. It's going to be, it'll be great.
Yeah, it could be cold. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, no, and I it's one of them things, Mike, where I love the outdoor games. I think they're great. Like I think the way that they do them, I think it's definitely like known like league wide. Like it's really like it like really it's more for the city that has it and the teams that are participating in it. I think it's a little harder to enjoy it when it's just on TV and all that. But yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I remember going to the Stadium Series last year. Like that was so fun. Like at MetLife when the Flyers played Jersey. I mean, the game stunk, but everything before that was great. And it's just one of them things where when you get going and you're able to play in events like that, like it's awesome. I think they've been talking about doing Florida and Tampa where the Marlins play, which would be sweet in Florida. That would be
Well,
cool.
I know Gary was on the panel yesterday, Gary Bettman, the commissioner panel. And, it's kind of, you've been doing this now a while, and they were kind of poking around. Hey, what's the next one going to be? When are you announcing it? And he said, we are going to be doing something that a little bit different. So I'm kind of, now I'm intrigued, I'm like, all right. Because sometimes it gets lost in the news now. It's kind of been around for a bit. Oh, who is so-and-so's got the winter game? Yes, it's Chicago, right? It seems to be,
right.
Boston, it's Boston, it's Philly, it's Chicago. It's
Philly,
kind of like,
yeah.
They're going to do something, a little bit different, and that'll be really interesting. I mean, they did the Tahoe thing. It's just such a battle because you got to watch the sun. Any place that's too sunny and too nice, it works against you. Just the physics don't work, and so it's like,
yeah. I think the one thing that's different with it is the Marlins. The Marlins Park has a dome, so I think that's going to play into it. It's got a roof. So I mean, if that plays in it, but then again, it's like, is that really like outdoors. You know what I mean? Like it's outdoors, but it's not because it's a closed venue. But again, I mean, I get it, and again, I think it's one of them things where I think they obviously I think cater to who's hot at the time and who isn't, and like Chicago. I mean, they were in like 4 straight years of outdoor games from the Winter Classic to the Stadium Series. I mean, I think that was their last night was their fifth. So it's just things like that. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It definitely is intriguing because it's like, oh, like what else they got up their sleeve, kind of thing. I think now that
Yeah.
you have Utah in, I think it'd be cool to see that Utah maybe get one in a couple years, maybe play Colorado or something like that. I don't know. I'm just going off the top of my head, but
Mountains around stuff. Yeah, it's like you like to see
yeah,
them like maybe you go to like Banff on a real lake, but then it's like, man, it's so scary like being on a real lake. What are you gonna do?
right,
Stands out there and then something collapses and now people are in the water. Like it would be, I don't know. Like there's so many like little loopholes here. Like it would be really cool, like a real pond like experience, but again,
right,
then you have nature involved too much, and then it's I don't know. It's like you can control what you can control at times, and then you're at nature's mercy. And I guess the less you're at nature's mercy, the better. But to your point, if you
right,
go someplace warm, it's got to be inside, and it's so hard to maintain humidity and get the proper temperature for the ice. And now you're worried about player safety, and the guys are uneasy about playing there. They're like, it's potholy out here, like it's the ice coming apart, like it's. I don't know. It's not an easy undertaking, and it's a little bit. Every time you do it, I think your fingers are crossed a little bit as far as God, this could go to hell in a second here. The wrong weather or something. Ice cooling. Portable ice machine, portable ice cooling system. Something goes down, and you're like, man, this thing just blew up. Cost us millions of dollars. It just blew up on us. So yeah,
right,
it's it's an undertaking, and like I think everybody holds their breath. I think as soon as the clock hits zero, I think everybody's like, like all right, we got it. Like I
right,
think when the final buzzer goes, I think the whole NHL just looks at each other and be like, oh, we pulled off another one. It's done. Oof,
right.
done.
Yeah,
So no
right.
major
No,
catastrophe.
100%. I think one of the things I'd love to see if they were to get really creative is how they keep doing the global series where they go overseas. If they did a global series and they had just had it be an outdoor game overseas, that would be sweet. That would be sick. Like if they could
Yeah,
have something like that. I don't know if they could pull it off. Because there's probably I know overseas it's like different. I mean, obviously, I know they definitely played in different rink dimensions and things like that too. But that would be sweet if they could do something like that. I don't know if that's in the cards, but
yeah. It'd be like some of these home markets just love. I mean, love to get it. Yeah, it's hard, and I think Gary was kind of alluding to that. That's gonna be really interesting, his statement, because he said probably some people are not gonna be happy with our decision. So maybe it is something like that. Maybe you're going to Europe and doing one somewhere in London or something. Like
right,
open air. One of those big stadiums in England. Or Dublin or something like that. But um,
hmm
yeah, I don't know. It's probably almost time for a little tweak to this, like a little bit of a. All right,
yeah,
we're gonna ruffle. We'll either hit a home run here, we're gonna ruffle some feathers, and maybe we'll do both. But
right,
we gotta jazz it up or do something again. Think outside the box. So that's why those people get paid the big bucks to come up with that stuff. So.
exactly, yeah, for sure. Okay, last thing here, Mike. 2025. Obviously, this is going to be a pretty big year. For the Flyers. Any, as a player, like when you went to a new year, did you ever have like obviously like a New Year's resolution, like for your game or anything like that, like just to kind of get? I know it's so close from like season to season, and some years you might play on New Year's Eve and all that too. But like for you, was there ever a moment where it was like, all right, I'm gonna really hammer down on this year, like a certain amount of goals, assists, something like that, anything like that, or
Yeah, I know. I try to, those couple times, but start nearing 20 goals, and you'd really like to push. I've always felt like that 20 goal mark was, you try and get 5 or a month or something like that. You try and stay on this pace, and yeah, October, November. So you're probably, you're trying to get to 20. I think a couple times I remember really trying to push through January, February. I think you do feel the season, like a little bit of a season change. Like now it's like, okay, you have a trade deadline coming probably first bit of March. So now you have 2 months. You're in the, what they call kind of the dog days of the season, where it's January, February, and you kind of get through the excitement of the holidays. And then it's kind of like, All right. Well, it's really, the weather's starting to get to you a little bit. It's cold. You're feeling sick kind of all the time. The travel's getting to you a little bit. Um, you're dinged up constantly. So it's kind of like who can have the wherewithal to get through the next 6-7 weeks, and then GMs really start to watch. GMs are really starting to make decisions in February as far as are we going to buy or sell here? What are we going to do? We're going to stand pat. We're going to start, and then the trades start to tumble in. So it's as a player, you kind of feel like the season shifts a little bit, and you're starting to kind of watch things a little bit more. And you might be peeking at the standings, where I think at the beginning of the year, you're not really looking at standings too much. You might start to really kind of peek them a little bit and see how we're fitting in. And it gets fun too as a player, because you're watching, you're get on the bus post game, or if you're on the road or whatever, and you're, grabbing your phone and seeing what everybody else is doing, look at updated standings. And so it gets to be a fun time of year, but it's a real kind of, okay, now you kind of it's kind of time of year you kind of roll up your sleeves a little bit and be like, all right, we got to get into this. This is kind of the bulk of our season. This is going to determine where we go right now. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think like this, it's a big stretch for this team because they're still in the mix. I mean, if like the playoffs are there for the taking, if they wanted to, I mean, they could not easily. I mean, it would be hard if they wanted to get in, but they could do it. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they will, but um, we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of hockey left, and I know March is normally a pretty good month for them, and it's less games in February with the Four Nations and all, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think they had like a seven game homestand in March too. Like they have a
Yeah.
long home stretch. I mean, because they have played a lot of road games early to start this year too. So
Yeah.
second half
Yeah.
there might be some more home games and
That Four Nations is going to be a big, that obviously takes a big chunk of time and gives you some time to
Mhm.
reload. But, like we talked earlier in the show about, that there have been some points on the table that got in the way. And like these are, like January, February, and into March. Those are ones like you got to, you want in March, you want to be talking about the ones we stole back, right? Like, oh, those were big
Yeah,
points we, instead of the ones that got away. And they're a little less painful in October, November, December, but those ones that get away really start to get, and they feel like they cost you a lot more in January, February, and March, and those are the points you've got to have. So that would be a big goal. Be like, hey, collectively, if we felt like we dropped maybe 4, 5, 6 points where we should have had it, like we got to get, say we dropped 6, like we got to bag 4 of those if we are in the same situation, if we're presented the same situations again here, like we got to claim some of those points,
yeah,
and you don't have all 6 of the ones you feel like you should have claimed, but like, if we get down to it and we got to win some games, maybe we're not supposed to win some games we don't feel like we should be winning or have any business winning, and we got to find a way to pull them out. And that's how you're going to be able to tickle the wild card spots or whatever, So,
right. Yeah, no, 100%. One last thing, did you see Latvia with the upset over Canada?
Canada,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
that
Yeah.
was nuts.
I've told you
Yeah.
before, I'm 100% Latvian, so my parents are from there, so I watch them.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it was good. It's good
That's
to see,
funny. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's just like mind blowing. I mean, never happened before. It's crazy.
No, and
Um,
it's unlike anything you experience in the state. Their national pride for that stuff is crazy. And Latvians
right,
have had a long-standing reputation of traveling heavy and traveling with a lot of good time Charlies. And their fans are vocal and they are out to have a good time. And then if your team mixes in a win, big time win, then obviously they can't. That's as good as winning the whole thing,
right,
for a country where they are in the. They were worried about being relegated, in this tournament. And all of a sudden you beat the host and it's like, wow, well, we're in the top 8 now. Well, wow, this
right,
tournament really took for us. So a very positive move for the group, a super young group too. They're not even, I mean, this is Canada and US are predominantly 05 base teams and birth year teams. And they have 7s, 07s, 08s on their team. Like they're super young, like just a
yeah,
gritty bunch, really. Gritty, a lot of
right,
moxie. Pretty cool to see.
right. Yeah, no, 100%. It's definitely hockey history. That's definitely put
Yeah.
that all on your heritage there, Mike. That's a
Yeah,
good win.
right.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Outside of that, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks everybody again. Checking out Kickin It With Knuble. got a lot of stuff coming. Got some guests coming up to start the new year. Have a happy New Year to everybody. Hope everyone's healthy and safe, and kind of see what the Flyers do here for the rest of the season. So, like I said, thanks everybody again for listening, and talk to you all next week. See you guys.
Thank you.